Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Teachers That Sparkle. Hopefully, you are having a fantastic day. And as you are starting to get ready for that return back to school, which I know some districts I saw on Facebook are already welcoming their new teachers back, it's coming quick. So, whether you're going back now in the next couple of weeks or within the next month, I am back once again to give you one more fantastic tip to help you prepare so that when you get back there, the transition is as smooth as possible. I was talking to someone online this week, messaging back and forth, and this person had made the comment that they just moved. And they moved quite a ways to start their new teaching career. And I remember back to 1995. Y'all, I don't know if I've shared this with you before or not, but I moved 1,000 miles, actually 1,100 miles, the last weekend of July. And it was very similar to this year's calendar in 2023, where the weekend happens and then August 1st was on Monday, actually. And I know this year it's Tuesday, but that year it was actually on Monday or whatever day it was. That was our first day back, that Monday. So I got into Houston on Friday evening. We had Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday to unpack, load everything, put it all away, and be ready for me to start my new job on Monday. And I didn't know where I was going. And I think I'm thinking I probably shared this at some point or the other, but I didn't have time to really dig into how I was going to get where I thought I was going to go. And I ended up being late. So nonetheless, I definitely felt this person's pain, and kudos out to you. If you are watching this video, you know who you are, because I'm telling you, the better transition we have going back to school every year, the better our year gets started. And that is just from my experience, talking with my network and my friends, and just knowing that anytime we feel unsettled in our own world, we're going to feel unsettled in basically everything else that's going on around us. My daughter just recently moved, as a matter of fact, last Friday. So she has this week and one more week to get everything put away and organized. And she's going to a new school. So you can see I'm kind of reliving a little bit of this. But anyway, today I really wanted to focus a little bit more on arrival and dismissal. And I'm not talking about students today. I'm talking about your arrival and dismissal. One of the biggest things that I saw over my 16 years as being a principal that just, I'm going to be honest, would grind my nerves, but I always said I had to pick my battles. And that is the same people showing up late every day or almost every day. And of course, it's always an emergency. Always. And I remember I had to say to a few people, nobody has this many emergencies. But it got to a point, and this is the sad part, especially after the pandemic, that if I wrote up every single person that was late to school, I would be writing up 75% of my staff. And that is a big problem. It's a huge problem. And every year at the beginning of the year, I would always have the same conversation. We have to get here on time. And here's why. So I'm going to tell you in my most loving, raw way, because I no longer work in public education. You got to be on time, y'all. And here's why. It has nothing to do with your boss. It has everything to do with students. If you're not arriving to school on time, students are either unsupervised, which is never a good thing, or one of your colleagues has to take up the slack for you. Now, if that happens once in a while, we're a team, right? Nobody's going to feel bad about that. But if it's happening every day, even every week, people are going to start to have resentment. And you don't want that. That's not how you want your team to feel about you. You spend as many hours with your team as you do with your family during a school year. You do not want any kind of animosity that can be resolved. And it kind of goes for the same thing at the end of the day. You have a contract, and your contract specifies your start time and your end time. Now, as teachers under a contract, it's always the expectation you'd stay until the job is done, right? We don't get paid overtime. Maybe if we're doing extra duty, that might be a different kind of pay. But just because your contract says I end my day at 4 p.m. and you had to work until 4:15, you don't get compensated for that, okay? But if you're leaving before 4 o'clock every day, or asking to leave, or assuming you can leave, that's a problem too. I stood in a dismissal area my last week of being at my school and heard staff members who were supporting that dismissal duty within the contract time talk pretty ugly about other staff members who were walking out of the door before the contract time. You don't want that. So let's talk about how you can avoid it. One of the biggest things that I say is you need to, and I know I shared this here, you need to plan your route to school. You need to be prepared, and you need to know that if you practice it the week before school starts, it might not look the same as the week school starts, especially if you're in a big city, because all of the schools go back. I know I would always say to my daughter, because we worked in the same district for a while and we lived in the same area, we would always talk about whether the district we lived in was in school or not to determine if we needed to leave earlier or later on staff development days. It's a fact. That's just the way it goes. So you need to budget your time. Now, I was just recording my show, Confident, Courageous, and Clear, before I came into this session. And we were talking about how so many people just react to life, that they wake up, they hit their snooze on their alarm clock, they're running late, so now we've got to react, and we're trying to get everything done, and now we've got to react, and we're trying to get out the door on time, and now we have to react, and now we're late. And that's their everyday life. What if you set your alarm 15 minutes earlier? What if you hit snooze only one time instead of 4 times? I know that that's challenging. I'm one. I don't sleep at night. So once I would fall asleep at 3 a.m. and the alarm would go off at 4:30, it was extremely hard to get out of bed. But I am going to tell you, and this is the same even when I lived 1 hour from the school, unless there was a traffic jam, I was always the first one on the campus or the second one on the campus, because I needed that time to settle myself, because I knew who I was. And that was even when I was a mom. So first suggestion, make sure you know your route. Make sure you know what your route's going to look like. Second suggestion, give yourself a little extra time. Because what could you do with that time if you didn't need it? What if there wasn't an emergency? You could reflect. You could enjoy your cup of coffee. Enjoy your breakfast without shoving it in as you're walking out the door. You could actually enjoy your children for 5 minutes and have a conversation, or your spouse. All right. The other thing that I'm going to give you a tip on is making sure that you have a route planned that you can avoid as many obstacles as possible. Railroad tracks, freeways. If you can avoid that, do it, because you never know what could happen. A train could come, an accident could happen, all types of things could go on. For some people, that might not be avoidable. You have construction. I'm from a small town. We would have construction sometimes that would close up routes. And even though it was a small town and we didn't have freeways, I knew going to work, I was going to avoid that area because I didn't know what the delay might look like. All right, so that's morning arrival. Let's talk about afternoon. Appointments. Guys, I know that it's hard. It's hard to schedule appointments when you need them to be. I know, I'm human. And I never wanted to leave the school. I didn't want to expect my staff to stay and be there if I couldn't stay and be there. Every once in a while, that's avoidable. However, when it becomes something every week, is that avoidable? I need to leave early because I need to do da 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 da. I need to leave early because I did da 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 da. Okay, again, let's try to schedule our life so that we can make the most of our time at work. All right, so I know today's message was a little bit harsh. I get it. And I know that for some of you, you're sitting there going, okay, but you live alone with a dog. Yes, but I also live in the fourth largest city in the United States, had to drive on the freeways, lived 1 hour from my school, had a daughter, had an ex-husband that did not help much. And as I mentioned, still got there as the first or second person on campus. It can be done. We all make choices in life. You just have to make the choice that's going to work best for you and for the students, because it's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about your boss, your principal. It's about the students. And when you're not there for them, you're not there for them. And they're not going to get what they need. All right, y'all. That is my message for this week. If you haven't had a chance to get over and check out information about From Rookie to Rockstar, especially if you're a new teacher or within your first 2 years, I would say, of teaching, 3 years, get on board with us because it is going to be phenomenal. We're already through month 1 almost. I have the first coaching call this evening. And then we're getting ready for month 2. Now, your timeline, again, might look a little bit different than some districts. So you're not too far behind. You can still get in and still get great information, but it will make your life so much easier. And you will find that feeling like a rock star in this world of education, there is nothing better than that. And not only will you be able to continue to have an impact on students, but you'll have an impact on yourself, because you will believe that you are doing the right thing in life, on the right career path, and going to make a difference in the world. All right, y'all. Talk to you next week. Have a great one.